I think one of the most helpful for me personally was the coverage analysis because, as we all know, it's such a new area for carriers and there's so many different forms out there and there's no way for us to be able to, at least I know I couldn't possibly go through and do the coverage analysis. So having a nice little matrix put in front of me, which, line by line kind of went through or area by area, what one policy had to offer versus the other, and it made it very clear what we needed to focus on, and it helped us think through what was important to us. I think bringing forth the relevant claim information, highlighting, well, this has happened to other healthcare companies. We're doing that intel ourselves, but it's helpful if they can summarize it and get us to us in a nice package quickly so that we can just, hit the send button, distribute it amongst the group. That makes us look good. Any technical resources, again, that's helpful. Anything that can be put in a nice, easy format for us to pass along, executive summary is perfect. And I think for us at the point we came into the purchase, because we're only going through our second renewal now, coming up in October, so it's not, we don't have a long history of experience either with it. But a lot of it is just market driven, supply and demand. What are they willing to give us for what we're willing to pay? And we're okay with we have a pretty high appetite too for a high deductible or retention. So having those options is very important to us, and seeing what the impact of any change might be on the bottom line was helpful. I think the benchmarking was very helpful, what other health plans are looking at. We did do through our enterprise risk management assessment. We did some modeling and tried to put a quantification on our exposure. So we had that to go with, and then just deciding, well, where do we think we're comfortable. Being a healthcare company, our plan was probably more by default than by design. We'd like to think that it was being proactive, but ours was more imposed through ERA. So we do have very rigid time frames. Our privacy officer developed the plan. We've actually done internal training, and if you saw the swim lanes, they're dizzying with how many people have how many different roles within the organization are involved in the plan. I think taking a step back to the plan itself, I'm struggling internally to get buy-in and just get the word out there in education that, yeah, we have this policy in place and I'm an integral part. I'm right up front as far as notification when an incident occurs. But what's going to happen after that, that's where I'm having a hard time educating, I think, internally the players, security. Well, the policy offers forensic expenses, but they already, we have a very large department, and they, I think, plan to use a lot of their own people, or they have their own relationships. So that's one area. And then with the credit monitoring, they already have relationships with the credit monitoring firms and contracts in place, but we have it over here. So coming to that meeting of the minds, I think, is probably where we're struggling the most. And that's where, again, brokers, I think, can be very helpful to say, what are standard limits? I still struggle with what specifically we should be requiring of these firms. Should it be something very generic, or should we really drill down on specific coverage areas, because all the forms are different?